Good morning, basketball world. This is the Around the Association podcast, and I'm your host, Danny Thompson, checking with you this morning here on a wonderful Friday, going into a nice NBA weekend, catching you back up on what you missed on Thursday night's action, as well as previewing a busy weekend, the NBA, including 11 games on Friday, and I think like 8 games on Sunday. There are games everywhere. So let's get into it. But before we do, follow the podcast, subscribe to it on places like Spreaker, Podcast Addict, Spotify, as well as iTunes, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict, other podcasting formats, and pretty soon to iTunes. Also, follow me on Twitter at Danny, D-A-N-N-Y, the number 3 Thompson on Twitter, as well as Facebook, which is Around the Association Radio on Facebook as well, too. And also check out our website as well, too. All right. So, let's get into the busy 4-game schedule in the NBA before we start talking about the weekend. And last night was the come home edition for Kemba Walker. That's going to be a lead story for in last night's game. Kemba Walker, after having an illustrious career as arguably the greatest Charlotte Hornet of all time, comes back to Charlotte last night, and his Celtics went in and punched the baby bugs, the Charlotte Hornets, in the mouth, and finished him off with a score of 108-87 in Charlotte on Thursday night on TNT. It was an emotional beginning for Kemba Walker, getting a standing ovation, including his video tribute. It was just it was an emotional night for Hornets fans, because to see their greatest player come home in a different jersey is a little bit, especially as a Hornets fan, was kind of like bittersweet to watch Kemba play last night. Walker didn't have the best game in the world. I think the kind of emotions kind of got to him. You can tell. 14 points, 6 assists for Kemba last night. He did shoot 4 of 12. He struggled with the shot, but the rest of the Celtics came through. Gordon Hayward had another huge game, looking like the Gordon Hayward of old. This is the Utah Gordon Hayward we've been expecting to see. I know it took a while for him to show after the leg injury in his first game as a Celtic, when he broke it. It takes a year to come back from those injuries. You know, we watched Paul George at times struggle his first year back, and then now he turned into almost the MVP last season. Hayward's 20 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists led the Celtics. Jason Tatum had 23 points and 9 rebounds for Boston as well, too. It was really a game where Charlotte, they had the lead is down close to 4, but it was just too much of the Celtics in their bench. Too much Celtics in waves. Jaylen Brown had 12 points in his first game back. Marcus Smart played some outstanding defense, and kept Charlotte away from what they do best, which is getting out in transition and making shots. Miles Bridges had 18 and 10 for Charlotte last night, 18 points and 10 rebounds. Devontae Graham had 15 points and 9 assists off the bench. Terry Rozier, he also played his former team as well, too. So it was kind of a return game for both players. Rozier struggled, 3 points and 3 rebounds on 1 of 11 shooting last night. Charlotte, just like I said, just could not keep the pace, and really Boston dominate after a nice little back and forth with the Hornets at the beginning of the game. Celtics are now 6-1. They've won 6 consecutive games. Charlotte now falls to 4-4. In the other part of the TNT doubleheader, good news for Clippers fans is that Kawhi Leonard played. After load management gate part 2 happened the night before, Kawhi Leonard scored 27 points, including big shots down the stretch as the Clippers took care of business of the Blazers, 107-101. Leonard, 27 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 assists in the game for Kawhi. He did a mixture of everything defensively. And then, speaking of defensively, what the Clippers did in the fourth quarter, and Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, is something that you don't see. Neither player scored in the fourth quarter. And what we call Dame time, Damian Lillard with 0 for 4 in the fourth quarter, 0 for 3 from the three-point line. Patrick Beverley showed why he's one of the best defenders in the NBA, holding him to 0 points. CJ McCollum scored 0 points. The Blazers got 16 in the fourth quarter from Anthony Simons. They cut the lead. They even tied the game in the fourth quarter with Hassan Whiteside. But then Lou Williams, of course, the professional scorer he is, knocked down some huge shots, including the three-pointer, and part of his 26-point effort. And the Clippers held on at home. Doc Rivers got his 900th career victory. Like I said, it was just a really good game. A great way to cap off the night, but it was really all about the Clippers defense in the fourth quarter. Like I said, when you see Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum go scoreless combined, that is what you call some outstanding defense. 107-101. Clippers over the Blazers. Like I said, Kawhi, 27 points in his return from load management. Out in Phoenix, the Miami Heat continued to cruise to a 124-108 victory over the Phoenix Suns. The Suns were one of the hottest teams in the NBA, were cooled off by a dynamic duo effort of Jimmy Butler and Goran Dragic. Dragic, the former Sun, had 20 of his 25 points in the second half. Jimmy Butler had 30 in the first half. They pretty much combined to hold the Heat to this victory last night. People forget Goran Dragic was an all-star a couple seasons ago, and now he's coming off the bench. But don't let that surprise you that he scored 25 points and 6 rebounds last night. He has that ability to do that on a regular basis, and this role that he's coming off of, especially coming off the bench now, allows him to work his second units, and also play starter minutes at the same time. Dragic is all even though he's a good pick and pop shooter, had 9-16 from the floor, knocked down 5 3-pointers in the game. It was watching Gordon with the pick and roll, Gordon coming off screens, Gordon coming off the jumper, and really Jimmy Butler, on top of that, with Jimmy Butler setting the tone. Butler had 18 points in the first quarter, 30 in the first half. Butler was aggressive from the very beginning. Now, one thing we have mentioned on this podcast before is that the Heat have the ability to let Jimmy Butler just lie in the weeds and do what he wants to, and then come through when he has to. Last night, he just came out and just started firing right away. Butler was 9 of 10 in the first half for his 30 points, got to the line 10 times. It was Jimmy Butler in the first, like I said, Butler in the first, and then Goran Dragic in the second half. Phoenix 5-3, and to be where they are right now has really been a big accomplishment, especially when you don't have a player like DeAndre Ayton, who's suspended and probably tough the first of the year with the 25-game suspension for the anti-drug policy rule he broke. They got 23 points and four rebounds from Aaron Baines. Devin Booker had 22 points, and Ricky Rubio was all across the board, 11 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists. Give the Suns a lot of credit. They played hard, but like I said, they fell short, and you have to give the Heat a lot of credit. They did everything they could do offensively. They shot the ball very well. They finished the game shooting at about 55% from the floor and knocked down 15 3-pointers in the game. And they got contributions from everybody who basically played the game last night. A double-double from Bam Adebayo, 15 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists from him, and 5 steals. I mean, Adebayo was everywhere on the floor last night. Suns are now, the Heat are now 6-2, and now they travel to LA on Friday night to take on Lakers. We'll preview that game in just a second. Final game of the night in San Antonio. Spurs hold on over the Thunder, 121-112, snapping the Thunder's 2-game winning streak. I know 2-game winning streaks are not a lot in the NBA, but in the early part of the season does mean a lot. LaMarcus Aldridge scored a season-high 39 points in the game, and it was really DeJounte Murray set the pace by getting Aldridge the ball early and getting him in spots. LaMarcus, we all know LaMarcus is really good off that pick and roll, off that pick and pop. He hit jump shots everywhere on the floor. They got him involved early, and getting him involved early allowed other players to make easier rotations and rotation of shots. The Spurs finished the game with 32 assists as a team on 51 made baskets. Murray had 10 assists in the game. DeMar DeRozan had 9 assists. Everybody was getting the ball to Aldridge. Aldridge was making plays. And then when he was knocking down his shots, it allowed the things to be easier for everybody else on the floor. Oklahoma City was led by Danilo Gallinari, got 27 points in the game. Chris Paul was 19 points and 5 assists, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 21 for the Thunder. It was really all about, like I said, this game was mostly Aldridge, 19 and 23 from the floor. He at one point was just knocking down everything, including 10 straight shots in the fourth quarter. And 10 straight shots between the first half and the second half. It was all about, like I said, it was Aldridge. Like I said, he broke out of his shooting slump, 19 and 23 from the floor, because he was 8 of 23 in the games previous to that. All right, so as we saw, the 4 games, it's a quick 4-game schedule in the NBA last night. We went over everything. And so the stud of the night last night, in a 4-game outing, you have to give it to Jimmy Butler, 34 points, 5 rebounds. It was just his domination in the first half that kept the Heat in the game, which allowed Goran Dragic to drill them in the second half and the Heat's victory on Friday night. Butler, like I said, fill the stat sheet up. And like I said, that first half explosion was phenomenal for Butler. All right, now let's get to the weekend. There's a bunch of games going on around the NBA, so we're going to highlight some of the games on the weekend calendar. Starting on Friday night, the headline game on Friday night, of course, will be the Heat and Lakers. Games on NBA TV. 10:30 Eastern time. The Heat are 6-2. Like I said, they came off their victory last night in Phoenix over the surging Phoenix Suns, going against the Los Angeles Lakers team that has won 6 straight games since losing opening night to the Clippers. Anthony Davis and LeBron James will be waiting for Jimmy Butler. This is going to be a action-packed, fast-paced game, and the Lakers will maybe give Kyle Kuzma a few more minutes tonight. One thing for Heat fans that we have not heard a lot of is the name of Kendrick Nunn. Nunn has not, after having the hot start, 11 points last night, 8 points the game before. Nunn starting to come back down to earth. They're going to need him, as well as Tyler Hero, who had a good game last night, to help counteract as much as the Lakers can do. And can the Heat keep Dwight Howard off the boards? That's been a problem. Howard's been really, really good, especially coming off the bench and getting those rebounding opportunities. Other games on Friday night, Pacers Pistons should be they're playing for the third time in 11 games. These two teams have known each other so much they practice against each other. Magic and Grizzlies in Orlando. Magic have been sliding over the last couple of nights. They definitely need this one against the Grizzlies team at home. Can Evan Fournier find the basket? And Jonathan Isaac's been putting up some really, really solid numbers. Every game he's done something different. I mean, but he's been consistently defensive presence everywhere. They're going to need him tonight as well too. Wizards and Cavs are the ESPN game at 7:00 tonight. It's a game where, this game, it's kind of a rivalry over the last 10 years, probably with Gilbert Arenas, going back to the days of Gilbert Arenas and Deshaun Stevenson against LeBron James, going all the way back there. Pretty fun, entertaining game. Hawks and Kings should be up and down affair, even with the Hawks not having John Collins. Expect Trae Young to have a huge game going against his Team USA buddy in De'Aaron Fox. Warriors and Timberwolves. Timberwolves got off to that high start, starting to cool off a little bit. You're going to need this one against a Warriors team that's still banged up. We don't know what the situation when it comes to Draymond Green or D'Angelo Russell going into tonight's game. Pelicans and Raptors on League Pass at 8:00. Raptors are surging. Pelicans need to find a victory. They've been struggling over the last few games, especially learning how to stop people. And another come home game. New York comes home to Dallas. Dennis Smith Jr. makes his return to Dallas. Hopefully he's with the team after having some family emergency, a death in the family. Hopefully he gets back. We wish D Smith, our condolences 1 and 2 that he gets himself back into it. Dallas has been surging with Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis in that game as well too. Another game another must-watch television game on Friday night. Denver and the Sixers. Another game where the two of the best big men in the league just battled against each other. Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic. They will go head to head. That game should be fun. And also on Friday night, Jazz and Bucks. The Jazz are a team that's starting to streak. Mike Conley still has not found his jump shot yet. He had that one good game. It's still been struggling. Bucks have been, their last victory on Tuesday night got, like I said, 10 3-pointers from George Hill and Kyle Korver. Can they do that again? Final game on Friday schedule, Nets and Blazers out in Portland. Portland lost last night in LA. Brooklyn gets Kyrie Irving. And again, now they get Kyrie Irving coming to town. Irving and Lillard is just on Friday night is amazing television. Some games to watch on the Saturday and Sunday slate. Saturday night, 5:00 in the afternoon tip. Celtics go to the Spurs. Celtics have won 6 games in a row. Spurs are at home. Like I said, we saw what Aldridge did last night. Can the Celtics find ways to keep him off the scoreboard? And that's the best game that you have on Saturday night. Like I said, New Orleans and Charlotte play at 7. You have Houston and Chicago at 8, and then you have Memphis, Dallas later on at 8:00 tonight, and Warriors and Thunder close out the Saturday tips. And the game to watch on Sunday. That Sunday's games are led by the big matchup out in LA. Raptors and Lakers play late on Sunday night. That's the 9:30 game. Of course, we all know anytime the Raptors Lakers get together, it's going to be fun. The Raptors hopefully will be at 6-2. Lakers are coming off a game against Miami on Friday night. That's a late game on Spectrum Sports as well. Hawks Blazers are on the tip as well too. Suns and Nets should be an entertaining affair, up and down affair. Knicks and Cavs on Sunday, as well as Bucks and Thunder, Hornets Sixers, Pacers Magic, and Nuggets and Timberwolves. So we went over everything you need to listen to in the NBA this weekend. Like I said, it's going to be an action-packed and fun-filled weekend. So check us out every single day throughout the NBA season, Monday through Friday, for this podcast that comes out right around 6 a.m. Eastern time. Also follow me on Twitter at DannyDA3 Thompson on Twitter, as well as the Around the Association Facebook page. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on Speaker, Spotify, iTunes, Podcast Addict, Google Podcast. And like I said, iTunes should be up next week, hopefully, with certification from them. Like I said, pass it on to your friends, subscribe, and check out my daily show, my weekly show on 98.5 Orlando, called Beyond the Buzzer, talking more than just NBA, but every other sport in between. And that'll be on Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So for myself, I'll check you guys out on Monday. Enjoy your basketball weekend, and we'll catch you guys on Monday to catch you back up in the league. Peace.